Welcome to the Takarazuka Fan Podcast, a podcast where fans from around the world get together to discuss, analyze, and squee about all things Takarazuka. I'm Julie in Arizona, and on the podcast today are...
Carly in New York.
Kitty!
And Heidi in Boston.
Yay! It worked that time.
Yay!
We've had quite an evening.
Yes, we've had a lot of shaky starts, and like 45 minutes later, we're finally recording this. Hopefully everything goes smoothly. Today we're going to discuss Makun, Asaka Manato, who will be retiring next month. At the time of the recording of this podcast, it is Tuesday the 24th of October, and hopefully we'll get it posted around the time that Makun retires, which would be November 19th, I believe. But before we talk about Makun, why don't we do happy things? Carly, do you want to go first?
Sure. My happy thing is in keeping with the theme. I got a long-awaited package last week, I guess, like Monday or Tuesday, and I watched Ace Motion and got to relive what a great thing Ace Motion was. I'm not sure I'll ever be over Ace Motion.
Yep.
I reread your review of it from this past summer the other day because someone revlogged it, and I was laughing on the train. It was so good.
Yeah, nice. I was reading it too, just like yesterday.
Thanks.
Kitty, what about your happy thing?
Okay, kind of coincidentally in keeping with the theme, recently I translated one of Makun's features from Graph magazine, and whenever they do these features, they collect questions from readers, and some of the readers get rather imaginative, but somebody I think they were trying to quote, "I'm putting all my eggs in one basket," but I'm not sure if it was them or Makun's English in top hat, but it was, "I'm putting all my eggs," but instead of all, they had "on," and it was all written out in English.
I'm putting all my eggs on one basket.
So
That's hilarious.
yeah, that whole feature was really funny, and she talked a ton about, she kept bringing up all these dramas she likes, because she brought up Quartet, which I think is a recent drama, like 3 or 4 times. yes, I see your priority.
We get it. What issue of Graph was that?
I can't remember, but I think it was during the press run for Ace Motion.
Oh, okay.
So it was probably the month that it was when they were about to start rehearsing, because she said she hadn't seen what they were doing yet.
So maybe May or June.
Yeah, May. I think.
Yeah, I think it was May.
Okay.
Yeah, May Graph.
Cool.
By process of elimination.
Did you post the translation already?
Yeah, that went up like a week or so ago, I think.
Nice. Okay. Well, if you haven't read it, go on over to Kitty's blog and read about Ace Motion and Makun. Heidi, what about your happy thing?
Let's see. My happy thing, I guess, is that this weekend we're having our fan meetup in New York.
Ah, that's right.
Yay!
Yeah, so I'm super excited. We'll go down and, I think, what are we doing? Carly, karaoke again?
Yep.
Who knows?
There's very few places in New York City where you can put 14 people in a room for like $10.
That's true. Yeah. So, I'm looking forward to that, and it's also sort of keeping with the theme, but also kind of more bittersweet, is that Hana's Forest ends on that same day, actually, the 29th. So after that, Kiki will officially transfer to Sorogumi. So happy and a little sad, but mostly, yeah, a little.
For sure.
Yeah, excited to see kind of what the future will hold. So yeah.
This is really like like superficial, but I sort of feel like Makun's and Kiki's faces would go really well together. Makun's the one who's retiring. Makazu is the one who's becoming the new top star. So, yeah, like I'm just still trying to kind of imagine what it's gonna be like.
I think it'll be a good time.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's hard for me to not have a happy thing. Again, that's not just keeping with the theme of Makun, because I also got the Ace Motion DVD yesterday, and we watched the first half of it, and then something came up and we didn't get to finish. But true to Carly's, what I had already heard from Carly was it was a really good like troupe show, not just about all Malkun all the time. There were like 2 entire numbers, where it's like, oh, I guess she's changing this whole time back there, and like other people were singing and dancing, and that made me really happy. And also there was this cute thing on Twitter that someone posted about the mannequin with Makun's suit from Chateau de la Reine. Where like the arms of the suit were like not as long as Makun's arms, so it looked really bunchy up at the wrist. And they were commenting like the length. The maker of this mannequin did not recreate the length of Makun's frame of her arms and legs, and it was just really the thing that's great about it is you realize that the Japanese fans are just as like nerdy and insane as we are.
Yeah,
they're analyzing.
They notice the weirdest thing.
I know. It's so great. It's so great. Well, let's get on to Asaka Manato. She debuted in 2002 and will be retiring this year in 2017, so she's had quite a good run. Does someone want to give us kind of a rundown of her sort of otome profile of what she likes and where she's from and stuff like that?
She's from Saga, which is, I guess, kind of a trivia point. There's not a heck of a lot of Takarazuka actresses from Saga. I don't know if this has changed, but I think at some point the only other one was Yume no Seika. And I thought I read somewhere that, like seeing in the news that she had made it in inspired Makun to take the test.
Aww.
But I don't remember where I read that.
Aww. Right?
Another thing about Saga is that it's very rural. So in like any of the features where there are both Chigi and Makun, they will kind of go back and forth about how they're from the really rural area.
Cute. That's so cute.
That's amazing.
There was a really funny thing on Sky Stage a couple years ago. I think it was part of something else where she was trying to teach Miriam how to say things in Saga dialect. And Miriam was not able to replicate those noises.
That's so silly. That's funny because I think about like other shows where they have to do like a regional dialect, and I can't think of like a Makun top show where they did like some funny accent.
Yeah, I don't know that there really was one.
Yeah, like Sodagumi in general does not do the kind of shows where they would deploy dialect. Like Tsukishiro Kei and Ryoma is the only one where I think they used a lot of dialect.
Oh yeah.
And because Melancholic Jiggle and Chateau de la Reine kind of used standard Osaka comedy a bit, but in general, Sodagumi does not do the shows that require dialect.
That's true. It wasn't Makun top, but I noticed that I watched Count of Monte Cristo, where Makun was Nibante, and they have like these pirates, and there are a few pirates who are like Arabian, and they spoke in like a funny accent that wasn't like your typical foreigner accent. It was like it sounded like a regional Japanese accent. I don't know if anybody else is familiar or can think back that far. For me, it was very recent. But yeah, it reminded me of something else like I've seen in, you were talking about Ryomaden or like Choshu, or, you know, like, because Ryomaden's about like the Choshu and Satsuma, the Satsuma Uprising or whatever it's called. It was one of those accents. Anyway, that's a super sidebar. Okay, who's pulled up the wiki? Tell us about Makun.
I have the wiki up.
I do too.
I don't know like which otome these answers are from though.
I tried to look over, but actually I don't know if I looked at Makun's specifically. I kind of had an idea of updating people's pages based on who's retiring this year. So I might have checked Makun's page, but I'm not 100% sure.
My favorite thing on it is that her collections are things that are nice to the touch. That's so vague.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, some people put really funny things in that category.
Her hobby is driving.
Go for drives. Yeah.
Which I feel like a lot of them eventually, like, at some point mention that they like going on drives. Like, maybe it's just sort of relaxing or something, I guess.
Yeah.
Although I feel like some stars, like, they don't even end up taking their driving test until after they leave Takarazuka. So some of them can't, but yeah, that's cool. Makun likes going on drives. I feel like Ranju Tomu probably put that in Otome for a while as well, that she liked going on drives. It just seems like a cool guy, like, going off on a journey alone, kind of typical Toriyaku thing to like. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let's talk about, when was the first thing that you noticed Makun in? You know, that you first became aware of a person named Asaka Manato.
I guess I'll jump in. I was, I guess, a little late late to the party, because I didn't watch a lot of Hanagumi when she was in Hanagumi, but Carol, who is also part of the podcast team but hasn't been on the podcast in a while, showed me her Brilliant Dreams Plus Next when it came out, specifically because she redid, her whole thing was she redid iconic dances from Takarazuka. She picked like her 5 favorite dances and recruited other members of Sorogumi and redid them. And one of the dances she redid was the Rose scene from Dream Kingdom. Which
and you'd be super familiar with that too.
Yeah, I wonder if just a clip of that is floating around online somewhere. If it is, we'll put it in the blog. But that's one of my favorite scenes of all time, probably. Yeah. So Carol was like, "Hey, you should watch this."
So who was who?
Makun was Asami Hikaru's role. Obviously, the best thing was Kotobuki Tsukasa was Todoroki Yu's role.
Now I really.
And I'm terrible. I haven't watched it in so long. I don't remember who else was in it. I want to say Sumire no Rei, but I'm not sure. I know she was in one of the episodes, or one or more of the episodes, but I'm not sure if it was that one specifically. I'll have to look it up and clarify. It's so good. I mean, they're all really good.
Yeah.
This was weirdly, like, my reaction to it was like, I kind of wish nobody would try and do that dance.
Well, yeah.
I didn't love Makun at first, but that was where I first noticed Sora. Because she was this like tiny little nerdy kid in it. But anyway, in retrospect, now that I've come to love Makun quite a bit, they're all really, really enjoyable and fun to watch. So I highly recommend that.
So how long ago was it that you watched that?
Maybe like 4 years ago. Okay. I never remember if it came out in 2012 or 2013, but I probably watched it in 2013.
Okay, cool. Kitty, what about you?
I'm trying to think. I feel like it was probably Pale Kiss was the first thing I watched. Because I in general didn't watch a lot of Hanagumi. I would just watch the shows that interested me. One of which was Pale Kiss, which I kind of watched a lot as a new Takarazuka fan.
Nice.
Yeah, my tastes are specific. And it's like one of their only vampire shows. It's like, if you want Takarazuka vampires, it's Pale Kiss or Seal of Roses.
Well, we have
and
Vampire
like
Succession too, but that didn't come out until after.
No, but not back then. Not back
Exactly.
then.
That's true.
It's a whole other type of vampire.
Days, 2.5 years ago.
That's
But
very,
yeah, she was pretty young in
Oh
that,
yeah,
wasn't
she was
she?
like
Wow,
Ken 4, Ken 5.
It was 6. It was
6,
like
yes, 2008.
Yeah. Yeah, so that, honestly, that is just a really good show, though. Like, I don't really see how she could have improved on it much had she done it later. And
Have you watched both versions? Because
really
isn't
good.
there a double cast thing?
I have never seen the other version turn up because Mano Sugata kind of
Faded into obscurity.
disappeared a couple years after that, unfortunately.
Okay,
So I don't think there was much incentive for them to air
so
it.
you don't have like a
I've
basis for
never-
comparison.
No, I've never seen any one but Makun's. Yeah, but that was just a really good show. I felt like it showed her off really well. And I was like, yes, sparkly vampires. More of this, please.
Was there one thing that stuck out, like her charisma, her dancing, her singing, something?
Mainly just she was clearly, it looked like she was having a fun time.
Nice.
Especially in the second act where it does some of the silly vampire getting used to the real, the current time period kind of things. And probably that was like the only thing I had seen her in for quite a while until I watched some of the like Teru stuff.
Cool.
Nice.
Heidi, what about you?
So I'm a relatively new fan. As of like next week, it'll be 3 years. So I haven't had the chance to see a ton of stuff, especially some of the earlier stuff. But I think when I was first starting out being a fan and poking around through various videos that I could find online, I think I actually did see the Brilliant Dreams that Carly mentioned, but I still wasn't really sure who everybody was and whatnot. But the role that I really started to kind of more pay attention to her in was as Andre in the Oscar, 2014 Oscar. And I just really, really fell in love with her Andre. And after
It's
that,
a really good one.
yeah. And so just like after that, I started to pay a little more attention to her because I think at first I was like, oh, maybe, still getting used to everything. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm not, like, I wasn't that super interested. But then she really just started to like grow on me after that. But yeah, especially her Andre, just the way that she really, I don't know, the emotion and the intensity that she puts into the role, especially like the way that she and Teru play off of each other, I just really, really loved, and I've watched that version over and over and over again. It's probably my favorite of the Bitterbetas that I've seen. So, but yeah, I really loved her Andre.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I feel like they were both really into it. Like
Yeah.
Some people I think can't gel with like the Ueda Sensei melodrama. Like, it's tough.
Yeah.
I've heard it from the Sato's mouths themselves that they are asked to perform very melodramatically. That's the source material,
Yeah.
And so some people maybe kind of get it and some people don't. I, being like a super oldie fan, 10 years ago, 10 years ago. So I became a fan in 2006, and from 2006 to 2007, I like devoured so much Takarazuka, just like everything I could get my hands on. And Jen was a really big help to me because she lived like in the same town as me. It was amazing. And I would go to her place and like burn DVDs from her, watch DVDs with her, and then steal them and burn them. But then, you know, of course, making friends with other people, and other people were sending me discs, and I was trading discs with them and stuff. And a friend of ours who is a big Sakurano Ayane fan wanted to show me Ayane's first Shinko lead, which was Marrakesh, A Crimson Tombstone, 2005, and that was also Makun's first Shinko lead. So yeah, I think it was both Ayane and Makun's Shinko lead, which was cute because they're doki, they're classmates.
Oh.
And they're both very young, you know, they're both much less polished than the stars they turned into. And the fun thing is I just rewatched it. So I really like end capped it because I just rewatched that Shinko, and then I started watching Ace Motion last night, so I got really both ends of Makun's career.
That's amazing.
but yeah, I mean, it's like she went through all the beats and she hit all the, you know, she did a fine acting job. She did a fine I say she did a fine singing job. She broke on a lot of notes, actually. She actually was not such a polished singer as she's turned out to be. But yeah, it was fine. But man, her like energy was so different because she has become this like super confident, I know I'm sexy kind of top star. And back then, she was just giving it her all in a little Ken 4, Ken 5 kind of way. And in her speech at the end of the Shinko, you know, she was barely holding it together. And the curtain goes down and the curtain comes back up and you see this huge teardrop down her face. Like when that curtain went down, she let it out. And then like when the curtain came back up, she was together again. But you could see this very obvious tears down her face, and it was so sweet to see, and just think about who she's become. And so yeah, I feel like she might have also been in Osa's I Got Music, which was like a really fun concert that had a lot of babies doing really cute things like playing drums and singing opera and dancing and doing whatnot. And from there, Makun just kept popping up because she kept getting a lot of Shinko leads and a lot of Bao leads. And yeah, she definitely, I'm very much about the 88th class. So regardless of her like tall, lanky, and derpy look, which is the way we all used to think about her, despite that, I was like 88th power. And I like was always excited to see her getting bigger and being a big star. And look where she's come. I'm very excited. Let's see. Do we kind of want to talk about if someone is like looking at the wiki or can rattle off on the top of their head her history? We talked about Pale Kiss, which I think was her first Bao lead, correct?
Yes.
She had 4 Shinko leads.
Yeah, go ahead.
So. Oh, sorry. 4 Shinko leads. Marrakech, the one you mentioned earlier, Black Wizard,
That's right.
Adieu, Marseille, and Love and Death in Arabia.
So mostly Osa and then one under Matobase.
And then let's see. And then Pale Kiss, and then was the Bund Neon Shanghai? I don't know what. What is that?
Was that double lead with Diamond, or was Diamond
in
not?
Diamond was Nibante in that. That one is like, it's kind of a film noir set in Shanghai. It's actually quite good.
Oh.
It's funny because I was going through my old journal and like I pretty much made a footnote about like it was good. Like I couldn't go back and find my own thoughts about it. I was like, it was good, and like everyone was really like awesome in it. It's the worst review ever.
I know I've watched that, and I don't know. I might have watched that like sick or something because I don't remember a single thing about it.
Can't remember. I can't remember it either. It's terrible. I have like zero memory of it, other than suits and people were hot, apparently.
Yeah.
If you're looking at the poster, that's what it looks like. So.
Yeah, basically. Because I would go through my like journal and I would like, they would post pictures on like Daily Sports and Asahi and all those different websites, and I would be like, look, there's a lot of people pointing guns at each other. And seriously, if you go through the photos, there's like all these pictures of people pointing guns at each other or something.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway, that was her second bow, right? Bun
Yes.
and Shanghai.
Mm-hmm.
And then Code Hero. Somebody
Yep.
said they'd
Yeah.
seen Code Hero.
I've seen Code Hero.
Yay, tell us about it.
Code Hero is just Code Hero. It's hard to tell in Code Hero if they were trying to make a noir, a comedy, a black comedy, or were just kind of high when they wrote it. It's very strange, but if you ignore or can appreciate going in that it's going to be very strange, it's fairly fun because Daimon and Makun play off each other quite well. There's quite a lot of fun characters. Like, the characters are all handled well. The plot is where it gets very strange. It's sort of set in the US, I guess. And Makun is on the run for some reason that's also rather vaguely covered. And yeah, but it's fun. Just, it's very strange. And plot points are maybe not very well supported.
That's fair. Well, now I'm intrigued.
But it's good fun.
Oh, Miriam was the lead Miss Miyake role.
Yeah, Miriam was the lead. She didn't get a massive amount of emphasis in it. I thought like she did much more in Canaria later.
Okay.
But because Code Hero just had a lot of characters they were working with.
So not just Makun and Daimon.
Yeah, I feel like Code Hero had a fair amount of characters that were given some emphasis.
I take it back. Maybe in my journal it was Code Hero where everyone was pointing guns at each other.
I think both.
It could have been both.
It happened in both of them.
All right. Well, you mentioned Canaria as well, because that might have been like another prominent bow part for her. Or was it bow?
Canaria was Drama City, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yes,
it
it was
was
Drama
Seoul,
City.
Seoul Kazuho's Drama City.
All right. Tell us about that one as well. Not to put you on the spot.
Makun doesn't really have that big of a role in that, but it is another of her encountering Mirion, and it's really funny because her main interactions with Mirion are like them shouting at each other or Mirion kind of trolling her because she's a detective trying to track down Mirion.
That's amazing.
So that's just really funny because Mirion's getting all up in Makun's face and just really, really small, snarly Mirion. It's good.
Nice.
That sounds perfect.
I love it.
I've always wanted to watch that. I've only seen the earlier Canaria.
So many people haven't seen
I
Canaria.
know, and
We should
I've
do
heard
something about
such good
this.
things about it, and I haven't seen either one.
It's a really good show. And I love So also, so it's been on my watch list forever because I love I guess you could say the original one. That was the only other time they did it right.
Yeah, Canaria
so
was like
good.
written for Charlie and
Yeah.
Otorire.
Otorire.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep, that was super good.
I want to see it. There's a whole bunch of current, like now upperclassmen Hanagumi
Isn't
kids
that
that would
so
have been
funny?
really
You were
small.
like, they were kids, and now they're like super big stars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also got Sena Ayase.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Significant part.
Nice.
Mighty and Ray and so many good people.
So with Makun, I'm at the wiki now as well. Pretty close after that would have been, after that was her last show with Hanagumi, End of a Long Spring and Kanon. And then right after that, she transferred to Soragami.
Yes, right at the top of Okikanami's, at the start of Okikanami's top run.
Right. Do you guys have a feel for like where she was at Bante-wise, like right before she transferred?
So Hanagumi was super crowded.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I was thinking.
it was super, super crowded, even after that. Like, and crowded with a lot of, like, people ranked ahead of her, but who never made top star. So it was very weird. Like, even after she transferred to Soragumi, I
It was
remember,
crowded in
like,
Soragami as well.
yeah, it was crowded. Diamond was like 4 or 5 people deep until Elizabeth, and then all of a sudden she surfaced. Like, it was crazy. So, I mean, I think it was definitely to clear out space, both in Hanagumi and, you know, to give her a chance because she transferred in to Soragumi as Nibante.
It was a weird place because, like, there was Tomochin and Kitaro ahead of her, kind of, but, like, their treatment per performance was very all over the place.
Right.
But
I guess I should say to transfer in as Nibante, like, on the Star Track, because I think it was pretty clear that Kitaro and Tomochin were not going to make top.
True. Yeah, I was just remembering, right, before Canaria was Phantom, where Makun had, like, a role switch with Miwachi and Soul, and she played Philippe, which is, I mean, like, the boyfriend role to Christine. It's kind of the Sanbente role, I guess.
Yeah, Phantom is a hard one to cast on the Star Trek because if you put the Nibante in the main supporting role, it often looks weird, but that's what they did in 2011. But
Soul and Tomu were classmates, so, like, I don't think it would have been...
Yeah. The first time they did it, they had a Senka actress as Gerard Carrière.
That being said, Jody Sakiho was also younger than WoW on the Ken scale. I think she was like a couple years after WoW.
It was a weird era of Senka.
It looked fine.
It looked better.
Yeah.
But yeah, when they did it, at least the first time, Philippe was actually the Nibante role, although that happened in 2004, the year of Nibante weirdness.
Yes.
So.
That's a whole other thing.
Phantom has just always been very strange casting-wise.
That's true. But yeah, I was like rereading my old journal, and I had mentioned in my journal that I was really impressed with her young Carrière, which is like kind of just like a small part that's in the second act where like they do this extended flashback about Carrière and Eric's past. But I really like that. Philippe's like a really bland role, to be totally honest. So it's not necessarily like the thing that
he's kind of just there.
Yeah.
Was 2011 the year Mirion was baby Eric?
Yes.
Oh.
So they kind of had a thing together then as well, because if Makun was young Carrière and Mirion was young Eric, then yeah, cute. It'd be fun to watch it again with that in mind.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Actually, I've probably never seen that particular Phantom.
Oh, yeah.
Now that I think about it.
I mean, Phantom's like what do you call it? It's like a specific taste, like that you have to have.
Yeah.
It's not everyone's cup of tea, maybe, because it's like a weird story for Takarazuka. But yeah, we started to get into Makun's Soragumi days because she did Kanon, which is, or at the end of a Log Spring Kanon, which is like a tour. And
I think that was still Hanagumi.
Yeah, that's
right?
what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
That was her last thing with Hanagumi, and like one of the things that me and my other friend Jen were like obsessing over so much was like the tour last day performance when Toma's like, "All right, Makun, you're transferring to Soragumi," and of course she's like, "Come up," and you know she makes her do the Hanagumi thing, and
Hanagumi pose
behind the head, the Hanagumi pose. And, like, she just, like, embarrasses the heck out of her and makes Makun, you know? But it's super cute. And that's, at that point, compared to, like, the Shinkos, you can tell that Makun's, like, ready to just catch fire and take off somewhere. And so it was definitely, like, her time to transfer and her time to go on and do great things. And so she did. In Galactic Heroes, she played, like, Kaname's best friend role with, like, really important part in Galactic Heroes. As we were saying, even though other people were, like, supposedly ahead of her in seniority, and they got juicy roles as well, it was clear that Makun was the one who was being pushed Star Trek-wise.
Yeah, I would probably call that one the Nibante role. I haven't seen it in a while, though.
Yeah, like, it's definitely the largest one script-wise, although the Tomochin or Kai-chan's role is a really, really good role.
Mm-hmm.
And almost one that I prefer.
I think where it's more ambiguous.
Kirheis is slightly bland. Like, he's kind of just...
Oh, but they're so cute.
Like Philippe.
They're so cute and gay together.
I
Sign me
thought
up.
she was really cute.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, although honestly, I feel like if you are going to watch Makun in Galactic Heroes, I feel like the one that wasn't in Grand Theater I thought was better.
Oh, it was like Hakataza or something?
Yeah.
I haven't watched that one.
Yeah, 'cause, like, they didn't change the script at all, but I felt like everyone cared more in Hakata.
Oh my. Now I'm interested to watch it. Okay. Did they have all the lasers and the...
I do not remember if they had like the full laser setup. I
Yeah.
kind of feel like they did.
Cool.
But yeah, I did feel like there was more emotional effort coming out in the Hakata.
Nice. All right, fair enough.
Interesting.
I do feel like I was saying kind of the Bonte, who's getting the biggest parts, who's on the Star Trek kind of stuff, was especially muddied in Count of Monte Cristo, where Chi-chan and Kitaro and Ma-kun and Tomochin all had like really important parts in the story. And I mean, the focus is really Kaname's character and the whole revenge plot. And like each one of those characters plays really key roles. And you can't, if I was just watching it like as a new fan and I didn't know who was who, I don't know that I would necessarily pick Ma-kun out of the lineup and say that one's the Nibante.
Yeah, I have a strong feeling I watched that before Pale Kiss and was like, who I
Yeah.
But I was also just personally offended because it's not good.
It's weird. It's definitely weird. Ma-kun is like vaguely smarmy. Kind of.
She plays Ferdinand. Oh, isn't that appropriate though? Like, I guess I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen anything.
Well, so like, did you say Ferdinand?
Yeah.
I can't remember the character's name.
Fernand.
Yeah. Like, you know, is the one who's creeping on the main character's wife.
Yeah.
And, like, marries her while
Yes.
like the guy's in jail.
Yes.
And so
Right.
she did come in and like horn in on Kanama's territory and steal her girl, which she later did for real.
That's a good point.
Is that what you meant by it seems appropriate? I wasn't sure.
Oh, no, but that also works. I meant more character-wise. He's kind of smarmy.
But I don't think of Makin as being smarmy.
Mm.
Really?
I mean, she's not wholesome exactly, but like... All right. Well, the next year, or like after that, they did Gone with the Wind, and they did a role switch with Scarlet, where Ma-kun played Scarlet and Ashley. And I have to admit, I have only watched half of it, partly due to like discs not working, and partly due to Gone with the Wind is really hard for me to watch.
That was my very first live Takarazuka show.
Oh, wow.
Did you see Ma-kun Ashley or Ma-kun Scarlet?
I saw Ma-kun Scarlet. Full disclosure, up to that point, like, really not a Ma-kun fan at all. And still, like, honestly, she didn't win me over until she became top, because Top Hat was everything, and Ma-kun and Miriam together were everything. But I remember reluctantly enjoying her Scarlet, like, and then justifying it to myself, like, well, it was a female role. Like,
Wow.
me, at that point, like, barely knowing anything about her. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's Gone with the Wind. Like, it was my first Takarazuka show because I had gone to Japan finally in my life, like, to see Komu in something. and that happened to be the thing that was playing at the Grand Theater. So
You were like, I guess.
of course I went to see it. But I mean, it was still a dazzling experience, like to be there for the first time. But you know, it's Gone with the Wind.
Anybody else have Gone with the Wind feelings?
I've only seen Kai-chan's version, and I feel like I watched that one in some kind of... I really do not remember it. All I can bring up is emotions about the book, all of which are extremely...
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I never read the book, but I saw the original movie.
Don't.
Yeah. I saw the original movie, and I was not impressed with the original movie either. I was like, this is pretty lame. Okay. Scarlett's really selfish.
Yeah, well, yeah, like, the book is both... The book is no better and is a lot more blatantly racist.
Yeah.
Like, even in the 30s, they had to do distinct effort to get it palatable for cinema. So it's just, yeah, like they cut out even most of those plot points that made it into the film in the Takarazuka version. So it's still just, it's not good, man.
But I mean, as Scarlett, Makun is very charming and cute as a woman. I feel like Scarlett as a character kind of is not always relatable and not always very fun, but she's cute as a woman. And we didn't mention, but I think she also did a role switch as Jackie in Me and My Girl back in the day. And
Oh, yeah, she did.
and I do vaguely remember seeing that, and like,
Oh yeah, was that the one?
it was like, I think it was Hakataza again, or like a not main theater
Oh, yeah, I think it was.
tour, or like Umege or something that wasn't Grand Theater.
Umeda
Yeah, maybe Meta.
Arts Theater.
Yep. But yeah, all I remember really is like 2 eyes full of Makun legs. And I was very much about that.
Yeah.
So,
I remember Makun very much enjoying the classic Gone with the Wind pair dance in the green dress, and being like noticeably larger than him.
yes.
Not like
but
a lot.
noticeably.
Like she's maybe a couple centimeters taller. Like it's really close because Kaname's pretty tall too. But by that point, she had definitely, you know, been on the top star diet also, and Makun was like just like noticeably healthier and a little bit taller.
Makun's always had those huge cheeks. Like that's just her face structure, I guess.
Yes.
Because she has, her face is so cute. Meh.
So round.
But yeah, that's Makun's female roles, and then right after that was People Who Have Wings, which was like a really emotional. It's emotional for me personally. I don't know how everyone else feels about it.
I've not seen it. Everyone yells at me to watch it, and I haven't yet. I'm sorry.
I did not watch that because at the time I was not a fan, and I just have not like gotten around to going back to it yet.
Okay, it's like a love triangle between, it's like Johannes Brahms, and then Robert Schumann and Clara Schumann, who were all real people, real classical composers. And yeah, I felt that was good, and that they all took their characters very seriously. It's a very serious adult romance love triangle kind of thing, and my feels. All the feels. But yeah, you guys were talking about Berubara, Oscar, and Andre. That was after this.
I just love that.
Yeah.
I love it. She also should mention she did a role switch with Kitaro.
Oh, right.
As a Jirodel.
Alan.
Yeah.
Or Jirodel.
Oh, it says Jirodel here, but I thought she did. Oh, she did Alan. I think that's a typo actually on the wiki now.
Yeah, there was... Let's see. Because Kai-chan was switching in and out as Jirodel and Alan, I thought. But...
I swear I've seen... I'm pretty sure she and Kitaro swapped roles. I think that might be a know if that's a typo or what, but because I'm pretty sure I've seen the other version, not the DVD version as well.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So there was
Oh, there was triple.
yeah,
Wow.
There's a
because
triple switch.
Ma-kun went between Andre and Girardel.
Oh, so she
Kitaro
didn't play Alan.
went between Andre and Alain, and Kai-chan went between Girardel and Alain.
Huh.
Oh,
I would have thought
Huh.
her look, I just like, because of her looks, I kind of just see her more as Alan, but weird.
Huh. Maybe I'm just not remembering correctly because I could have.
Yeah,
sworn
so
I
one
seen
of them
it.
was a typo.
Yeah, and despite being the Berubara person, I have not seen this one. I've seen like 3 minutes because someone was streaming, but that was the day I'd nearly gotten a concussion, and I was like, there are too many bright colors.
Oh dear.
Bye.
Oh dear. Well, I've seen the Oscar and Andre, but I haven't seen the one that they did immediately after, which was Farazan and Marie Antoinette. But I really did like Ma-kun's Andre. She just went for it, you know.
Yeah.
Like you guys were saying earlier, she and Kaname really had good chemistry together, and they just went for it, and it was very emotional.
Yeah, and she had been in Berubara like before,
probably
twice. She had been in 2 of the Gaidens in small roles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, those side story ones, I'm glad they stopped doing those, to be honest. But Hanagumi did an Alan side story and an Andre side story, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, Tsukigumi missed out, and then Hanagumi was stuck twice.
So bad. That was the thing. But yeah, so we're just about at the point where Ma-kun became top, and instead of going through her entire role history, maybe we should change it up a bit. Does anybody... Let's talk about favorite roles. Who wants to go first? Carly, that's you. You made a noise. That means you go first.
Oh man. I guess oh god, it's so hard. I have to say Top Hat, I think. Because, I don't know, I have a hard time thinking of, like, as objectively great a show as Top Hat, maybe. It's so good. She and Miriam work so well together, and it was, like, that was what, like, made me do a complete 180 on Ma-kun. So, while I like her quite a bit in most of her top roles, I think I'm gonna have to go with Top Hat. She's just, like, the tap dancing is so good for her, like, weird body. and she's so, like, she's just such a, like, dumb little flirt in it. Like, it's just the perfect show for her.
No, I agree with you. It's such a perfect role for her. It's just kind of this effortlessly charming, stupidly flirting, like you said, guy who just wears suits and is just really handsome, and, you know, the style, the Fred Astaire style, just really suits her very well.
Yeah. Ugh, but it's hard. It's hard.
What about Kitty and Heidi? Yeah, it's hard to talk.
Let's see. Like, I would also probably say Top Hat is going to be my favorite role as well, but since that is taken, I'll talk about, like, below that. I think probably I would put Shakespeare. Just because, well, Shakespeare is an incredibly well-written role for her and had a lot of good songs, but also the emotions between her and Midion, and just the amount of depth there was really, really good, and, like, further than I feel Takarazuka goes sometimes, but they did it really good with it, and I feel like Ma-kun just looked really good, because, like, she has to start out as being this, like, love-struck kid, and then it goes over a pretty long time period, and just stayed very convincing the whole time, even as they're, like, switching in and out of, like, different characters and things, and it was really good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She has a breakdown in Shakespeare that was really powerful in the theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you could arguably say that Top Hat wasn't like written for her because it's based on other source material.
Mm-hmm.
And then they did A Song for Kingdoms and then Melancholic, which are both revivals. And so you could say that Shakespeare was like the first Top show that was just written for her.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the combination of Shakespeare and Hot Eyes, which were both written for her, it's really magical / deadly.
Extremely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heidi, what do you think?
Gosh. Well, since all of the ones that I probably would have picked have already been said.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's good to kind of talk about.
We all
different
agree.
ones. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I just got to see Top Hat like the other day. Thanks, Carly.
You're welcome.
And it was, oh my god, it was so wonderful. I wish I had seen it sooner, but I'm glad I was able to see it before the podcast. And it was. I saw like the first like 5 minutes, and I was like, all right, I gotta add this to my must-have list. So,
Nice.
so yeah, I really loved her in Top Hat. I don't know if you want to talk about this now or later, but I did get to see Land of the Gods, Kamigami no Tochi, which is her sayonara show. And
Yeah, go ahead, talk about it now.
yeah, okay, so I gotta go see that. We saw it in Mura and Takarazuka in August, and I got to see it 3 times, and it's done by Ueda Kumiko. Ueda Kumiko, and who also did, for reference, she did Hoshiai Hitoyo and Golden Desert, and so I was kind of going into it thinking it would be, something really along those lines, something really kind of emotional and probably gonna hurt a lot, and I have to be honest, when I first came out of the theater the first time, I was like, I'm not really sure that I liked that because it wasn't what I was expecting. And I'll get to kind of why that was in a minute. But I think it's a show that I've been telling people, like, if you go see it, we should see it at least twice, because I think there are so many things you can pick up on, like, the second and third time around that just make it so much more enjoyable, because it's such a show that's kind of more subtle in its emotions and implications, and there's a lot of like show rather than tell, and you kind of really have to pay really close attention to the actresses and the way that they portray these different, I don't know, like how they're actually reacting and processing the different events that happen in the show. So it's definitely not a comedy. It's kind of a tragedy because it has to do with the Romanov, and the Romanovs in the beginning of the Russian Revolution. But I think it really allowed, especially Makun, to kind of show her more serious and dramatic side in that sense, without being like super over the top. It's something, again, you really have to kind of pay really close attention to the subtleties in the acting, and so at first it might seem kind of boring, but when you kind of figure out what everybody is doing and who everybody's supposed to be, it was really, really enjoyable, and I think it something that is really suitable, I guess, as a way to go out, in the sense that it's something quite different, I think, than what she's done in the past, or at least what I've seen. But but compared to her other top star shows, I think is true. So, but that's kind of vague. But to kind of like go into the story, it's
no, it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you gave a lot of, at least, what would you call it? Analysis of her acting and her character. And it's funny, when you seeing that, I was thinking, subtle is not usually something you do at the Grand Theater. Like, subtle might be like a Theater Drama City or something, but I'm really interested to see it.
Yeah, and again, like, when I first came out, like, between intermission of the show and Classical Bijoux, which was phenomenal, we were standing in line to get, like, little drinks, and I was like, I'm not really sure that I liked that. And I, like, kind of processed it for the rest of the day. And then so we saw it on a Tuesday, and then we had Wednesday free, and then we saw it again on that following Thursday. And the second time, I was like, okay, no, like I've been able to process and really kind of figure out, like, pay closer attention to what's actually happening and trying to figure out and remember, okay, who's who and what's what. And it was even really hard. I spoke to a couple of Japanese audience members. It was really even hard for Japanese people to follow along with the story because of all the Russian names and whatnot. So, but yeah, basically, Makun's character is supposed to be a Dmitri. Where'd he go? Dmitri Romanov. There's another name in there that I'm forgetting. And here it is, Dmitri Pavlovich Romanov, and so these are all basically based on real people and more or less real events, but of course takes a little bit of license with who is actually married to who, and certain things like that to create, kind of build in the love story and whatnot. But to kind of give a 30-second summary is that so he's Grand Duke Dmitri Pavlovich Romanov, and who I believe is sort of in line for the throne, depending on how the Romanovs did that. But essentially, he's leaving to go to stay with the imperial family and protect them because there's a lot more unrest going on, because this is like right before the Russian Revolution gets into full swing. And there is Urara's character, Irina, who actually, if it's based on the real Princess Irina, was married to Felix Yusupov, who is Yurika's character, Akaze Suzuho's character. So
confusing.
Right.
In real life.
In real life, it's this. Yeah, exactly. But there's kind of this, like, we're not able to be together sort of like love tension between Urara's character and Makun's character that kind of permeates throughout the whole story. But essentially, so Makun goes to stay with the imperial family and as a protector because he's also in the army, yeah, and discovered that the Tsarina, so Nicholas II and Alexandra are basically being influenced, so to speak, by Rasputin. And there's potentially this influence is causing a lot of that unrest. And I think through a series of events, Felix, so Yurika's character, basically proposes, why don't you take over and and let's also kill Rasputin. So they kind of stage this coup d'etat or whatnot. But and then also the murder of Rasputin, which these people were all involved in real life. So I sometimes have a hard time reconciling that Rasputin is an actual person because I watched that movie Anastasia so much as a child.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I can only think of Rasputin as this totally, like you said, mythical, magical figure, and not like a real person who had real influence in court.
Right? Yeah. And it probably doesn't help because Ai-chan definitely plays to that super crazy
supernatural.
Yeah, she's so good at it too. But yeah, so they basically try to carry out these plots in order to kind of wrestle the influence away from Rasputin, and aren't really successful because of a number of different things. I won't necessarily spoil it all, but it's basically it's not a happy story. There's not a lot of overt death necessarily, because there are some things that are kind of trigger points that pushes Dmitri to finally go along with the scheme. But it's just there's just so many different what's really great about a story that Ueda Kumiko especially is really, really good at is that she seems to know, or I think, exactly which actress to play which role, and she utilizes them all so well. And so you get to really, different actresses can really be highlighted in really, really great ways, which is something that I've enjoyed. And especially Golden Desert, and then also for Kamigami as well. I think Hoshiai was more top 3 centered,
Yeah, definitely.
but in the last 2, she's been really good at taking advantage of the different CNs and their different roles and whatnot.
Nice. Well, I do want you to tell us about classical Bijoux as well, but let's switch gears just so that we cover a bunch of other things. Let's talk about offstage. What's Makun's charm points? We talking about brilliant dreams or other kinds of specials, interviews, concerts, dinner shows, and that kind of thing. Who's got memories of offstage Makun? Or other kinds of Makun?
Other kinds of Makun. I translated her talk with Miriam when Miriam retired. I think it must have been in Graph. And she's very Miriam was very emotional, and Makun was teasing her a lot, and I'm sure she was also very emotional, but she did not want to show that she was very emotional,
Aww.
I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm projecting that, but she was being very she was giving Marianne a hard time, in a loving way, but definitely giving her a hard time.
Nice.
And I don't know. I guess that has its downsides too, but I think it's kind of charming.
Isn't that kind of a thing that people say about Makun, that she teases people? She's kind of mischievous, or
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Just very Chad-eye, is that?
Yeah, that's the thing that everybody says.
I guess the bane of translators.
Yeah. I mean, how would you guys translate it?
I think once I did it, it really depends on the context in which she says it, but often it is teasing or joker or that kind of
trickster.
thing.
Flirty, depending.
Yeah.
It just occurred to me that I've never had to translate
that word.
And I'm really glad that I've never had to translate
a word that they throw around for Makun a lot. And I was trying in a very not technical way to explain. And I was maybe it kind of means a lovable asshole?
Yeah, that's accurate, I think. I mean, it's hard to use that in translation, but that's definitely accurate.
Yes, right, but it's it carries both sides of it, right? Where it's charmingly annoying.
Yeah, he's that kind of, flirty brat character you see in shoujo manga kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If we're talking about school stories.
Do you feel like Melancholic is kind of that character?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because in Melancholic Gigolo specifically, they're supposed to be gigolos, so they're supposed to be, these handsome men who charm all the ladies, but they're also kind of jerks.
Yes.
Jerk people around.
My favorite show.
Yeah. What were you saying, Kitty?
Oh, that's my favorite show.
It's really silly.
I love that show.
Yeah, I've only seen Makun's version once, and it's a restage, but I was actually a little surprised because she was never in it in Hanagumi, so I wonder if she was just why did I miss out?
What a coincidence!
Twice.
They did it Hanagumi did it at least 3 times. I don't know about Makun.
They did it twice with Matobuse, and she was in neither of them. The other one was their very first staging of it.
Back in the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it had been restaged again since then.
I remember just watching the Matobuse version and remembering that Makun had also done it, and at the time I hadn't really gotten to know her very well yet, and so I was watching it going wait, how did Makun and Yurika do this? I just couldn't imagine it. I couldn't imagine it.
I love their version.
Yeah. It's fluff, it's not a super serious story, and it's weird because Makun's character pretends to be Mirion's brother, long lost brother for a while, and so that's confusing from a romantic standpoint. but it's really funny fluff.
Yes. Yes. It's my favorite genre.
Charming assholes and fluff.
Got it.
Yeah, well, the specific genre is panicky con men fail a lot and yell at each other.
Con men who aren't such good con men.
Yes.
That is certainly it's like a Takarazuka genre into itself, right?
It really is.
Oh man.
Incredible.
There are so many shows like that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Like, even Chateau de la Reine gets...
That's kind of like that.
It approaches that concept.
Yeah.
Which is impressive because it's got Midion
being
doing
the
most of
panicky
the-
con person.
Yeah.
Which I actually saw the Senshuraku
Oh, nice. In Tokyo or Takarazuka?
in Takarazuka.
Okay. Well, so like obviously the short plot version is like Midion and Zunchan work for a travel company, and they're like trying to make money by taking two groups of people to a hotel in France called the Chateau de la Reine, and wacky hijinks ensue as they try to keep the two groups of people apart, and double book them at a hotel to make the optimum amount of money. But tell us about Senshuraku.
Yeah, I don't remember very much because that had been an extremely long day, as you can guess. But I do remember that it was just really emotional for everyone there. Like, clearly, like, through the whole show, Maku was giving it her all and everything. It was just really, really good send-off for Midion.
It's not a big... I mean, there are some emotional downbeats, but there's a lot of pera, like, people bouncing off each other in a comedy way. Like, when Makunin first discovers, like, the plot that Midion is trying to, like, pull the wool over their eyes, and, they're arguing with each other like an old married couple, even though they've only just met. And then, like, people come into the room and they have to go and hide behind a couch.
Oh, that was, like, the amount of, like, physical comedy with Maku and Midion was just really good in that show. So I'm glad they got to do it because, like, Soragumi does not really do funny shows in the Grand Theater.
No.
They don't really do funny shows at all.
No.
But
even though Makun, it seems like her personality that they could have done more funny shows.
Yeah, just Soragumi just does not do that.
Yeah.
Really. But they actually did a lot more than usual with Makun. Like, they got 4 if you count Shakespeare. Which is 3 more than just about any other sort of top star.
I don't know that I would count Shakespeare as a funny show, though. I remember it being very emotional.
Yeah, like, comedy, drama. It's definitely got funny bits, but yeah, I don't know if I'd count it fully.
Yeah, but Chateau is definitely a comedy, and so
yeah.
On Raku, how was the review half, Viva Festa?
It was very good. Like, let's see, okay, this was a while ago by now.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but you could tell that, like, it was kind of emotional, but they were just going to go, because that show just goes hard and does not stop through the entire show. Like I think that's why there were so many people out of it for injuries. But you just tell that everyone was going really hard to make it good. It was a really good day.
How do you feel about, let's talk about Makun and Midion's kombi. And, I mean, because I've heard different opinions, but I'd like to believe that, like, Makun was like, Midion needs her own send-off, she needs her own show where she can just shine all by herself, and then I'll retire in the next show. It seems kind of romantic.
Yeah.
That's definitely the impression I got. Like, yeah, that's definitely how it appeared.
Yeah.
To me, though I don't have any, like, sources or anything.
We'll never know, but I kind of want to choose to believe that.
Exactly. And I mean, we already raved so much about Top Hat, but I really feel like their chemistry and Top Hat was just so good.
It was so good.
Oh, my feels.
They're the perfect example of like a team that take each other over the top, I think.
Yeah. So good. And I mean, you know, there are other like big romantic shows like Song for Kingdoms and Elizabeth. It's it's not that they weren't good. It's just that like I feel like Top Hat was so suited to their personalities and their energies.
It definitely was.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, I like Song for Kingdoms and Elizabeth, all right, but like Top Hat is just such a good show, man.
So good.
So, I mean, being that Top Hat was their debut together as top kombi, even though Miryun had already been a top Musumeyaku, I feel like rounding it off with Chateau, it was kind of fun because like they did a wacky comedy again where Top Hat's exactly the same way of like wacky hijinks where everyone's mistaking people's identities and stuff. And that's kind of the way Chateau is as well, where people are like tricking each other and everyone's running around doing wacky hijinks. And I mean, I don't know, some people might think that maybe it's not the best role for a Musumeyaku to go out on, but I feel like Miryun time and Makun had a good time making her shine.
Yeah,
I liked it. I know a lot of people complained about that show, but I mean, it, you know, it's got its problems, but I like that. Like she was the mastermind behind the whole scene.
That's not usually.
That's like that's not a role that a lot of Musumeyaku get, and I think it was a really interesting role for her to go out.
Exactly, because we were just talking about like the trope of like con men and hijinks. It's always con men, and like it's basically 0% of the time is it ever the Musumeyaku who's the one running the con. And so the fact that this one time it was Miryun as the mastermind of the scheme was really fun, actually.
Yeah, I haven't had the chance to see it yet, but from everyone who I talked to who's much more familiar with Sorogumi than I am, or like longtime Sorogumi fans, like they all said that they thought it was a really nice send-off for Miryun as well. So
it's a story with really big personalities and big characters. And in the middle of that, Miryun does not disappear as a, non-big character. Because like a lot of times they give, even Thomas Miyaku, they give them really wimpy roles. And that's not the case in that show. But yeah, talking about Makun. Talk about Makun's, we kind of threw out the prompt of like, what are Makun's charms and like offstage things that you've seen Makun in.
We got distracted.
But, do you have any like, what are her charm points? What are things that we love about Makun?
Just recently, especially with her Taidon show, just kind of seeing the photos and videos coming out of like Irimachi and Nemachi. I just love how the energy and how like happy and excited she is, even if it is like her last show. Like it just seems like the energy she really wants is something like really, really, really super celebratory, which I think a lot of Taidons obviously can be, but I don't know, it seems so much more healing in that sense. Like I'm not as super invested in her as I have been other stars, but like I went to Hokusho Heidi's Taidon last year and was just so like heartbroken and devastated. And like to this day I still haven't watched like the DVD, which we bought back in August, so it took us a year to actually buy the DVD, and then I still haven't watched it yet. Whereas like right now I'm like, I just want to watch Classical Bijoux like 20 times right now. Yeah. Nice. So like I just love that energy that she's got.
Yeah, like sometimes it seems like top stars, I don't want to say that they work themselves too hard and they become closed off to their fans or something, but it just seems like sometimes they seem tired, by the time they get to the end of their run. And Makun doesn't seem tired.
No.
She really, it's funny. I feel like we haven't talked a lot about her specific skills so far in the realm of like singing, dancing, and acting. But man, when I first started like being aware of Makun, I didn't think that I would be so impressed by her dancing. But she's a great dancer. Can we just put that out there and say that she's a great dancer?
Yeah.
And she studied and learned very well under Ranjutomu Sama. And that solo dance that she has in Hot Eyes is like everything. It's everything, basically.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So good.
There are certain top stars that when they dance, they really like show up other people, and you're like, oh, she's really good. And I feel like Margaret's one of those people.
It took me, like, I think she was, I don't know if I can say always because I'm not as familiar with her younger career, but at least like since she moved to Soragumi, very much billed as a dancer. And I didn't get it at first because like her body proportions are so unusual. So like her dancing is really unique, but yeah, like she has a scene in Phoenix that I also when I saw Phoenix, Ocean of Midnight Sun in Phoenix in the theater, that was another like moment that I like reluctantly enjoyed it before she like flipped me to a fan of hers. Like I watched that scene and I was like, oh, okay.
I think
that
saw
was really good.
a long time ago, like right after the DVD had come out and Kaname had retired. So I don't know what's the scene.
It's I forget like the song that's playing, but it's not a solo scene. She's leading a group dance, and they're in these sort of like bluish purple chiffon outfits. And her dancing was just like, it really, really stood out in that moment. That, and then of course the solo dance in Hot Eyes was one of the most, probably like the single most breathtaking moments in the theater that I've had. I don't know. As for what I like about her, I think it's difficult to get a sense of what type of leader she is, like her personality, because she is kind of more like, she always puts on that, kind of happy, smarmy energetic facade. Like she's not always really like gushy with her emotions at all, and you don't hear other Sato talk about what kind of leader she is as much as, for example, like the past 3 years, I feel like that's all I ever heard about Chigi. But I think you can really sense what type of leader she is in the atmosphere that Soragumi has right now. And I really like that. I think she's completely transformed Soragumi, honestly. And they're so good right now. I love them so much, and I'm really grateful to her for that.
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, can I just say, I had a break, but I've been watching Soragumi this entire time, basically. And I never thought of Soragumi as being a dancing troupe, Like, we never really had top stars who were dancers, TM. And in that way, she's definitely transformed the troupe, where, like, you feel like their dancing is so much more on point because they hold themselves to that standard that Makun has set, and it's really incredible to see. Whoa, my troupe is a dancing troupe for the first time.
Yeah. In classical Bijoux, which is fantastic from start to finish, but there are two moments that really stood out to me the most, and the first one was the kind of duet dance that she does with Utica in the kind of dark blue velvet, and where they do the lift and Yurika basically holds her upside down for about, I don't know, 3 seconds. It's it was really cool to see. Super impressive. Unfortunately, I think they took it out for the Tokyo run.
I heard that.
Yeah, because she had a pretty bad fall, I think, like the week before. Yeah, the week before Raku. I think she's okay. Like she seems to be okay, but I think they took the lift out, unfortunately. But that happened after DVD recording, so I'm sure it'll be on the DVD.
It's like a good thing and a bad thing. Aww.
Yeah, yeah. No, I was saw that on Twitter, and I was like, oh no, actually, my friend was there at about the same day. She didn't see the fall itself, I don't think. But I guess she like fell off of one of the raised platforms during the Chuzume. Yeah. So, but
Oh, she fell, and so she couldn't do the lift anymore.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like Eureka dropped her on her head or something. I was like, oh god, no.
Oh, sorry.
People were making like oblique references to her injury or her fall, and I was like, what happened?
Yeah. Yeah. So apparently she fell during the platform. There's a point during the Chuzume where like one of the platforms on the stage is raised up about a meter, I think, and it sounds like she fell from there. Yeah. So, poor thing. But so the lift was really, really wonderful. So I'm sure they wouldn't have taken it out if if it wasn't something she couldn't So but it's also like it was super impressive, so I think it should be on the DVD. But that whole dance was really wonderful because it was kind of really flowing and ethereal and a little bit evocative of the one from Hot Eyes, but obviously with her and Yurika and some other backups dancers. But then also the Kuroenbi, the tailcoat dance. She does a little bit of a solo dance to the opening of Jupiter, Hulse Jupiter.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, my heart.
I started. That was when I saw it the first time. That was when I started to cry. Because,
I mean, they've reused that song so many times, but it's so powerful and so beautiful. It basically probably will make me cry every time.
But it's like super. They did like a really like classical version of it with not very many like alterations to the music, and because I think a lot of the times you get like the
bolero version.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it starts out with the like the very beginning of the song, and I'm a classically trained violin player, so I recognized it immediately, and I was like, so she does that, and then the Otsukoyaku come down the stairs, and then they strike the pose with the drums, and oh my god, it's amazing. So it was so good. So yeah, those are the two moments. I was hoping she would maybe do something a little bit closer to what they had done in Hot Eyes for Classical Bijoux, but it was still very good. So,
do you feel like it was like a very tight on send off for her retirement kind of review?
Yeah, I think so. In the sense that like the last 20 minutes, kind of are what really hit you in the gut, because they have this wonderful like kind of like sort of gloomy song, and everyone's wearing silver and purple, and yeah, it's very like it was. It just it really hits you right in the heart, and you can tell like that they're emotional about it as well. And then like the Kuroembi I think follows shortly after that. But yeah, it's like literally the last 20 minutes. Just seems like a really wonderful, like happy, and it's emotional, but it's happy as well. So kind of I think it fits with the feeling that she wants to go out on.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Oh, I also have written in my notes, House of the Rising Sun. She sings at one point. It's a really famous song. I'm sure everyone's heard it. I'd sing it, but you don't want to hear me sing. But, but it's such a good scene, and like, she comes out on the Silver Bridge singing it, and they're kind of like dressed in like kind of 1920s like gangster stuff, and then she does this duet dance with Urara in a red backless dress, and it's it's so good.
Sounds amazing.
It's wonderful. So
that sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, shoot, I feel like we got into such like tied on feelings. I don't think we can go back and talk about anything else. But yeah, final thoughts about Mako?
Yeah, do we want to each kind of say maybe like a favorite memory?
Yeah, we haven't heard from Kitty in a while. She's been very quiet. I don't know if we lost her or she's just being
Sorry,
quiet.
no, you just were talking about a lot of shows I hadn't
That's
seen.
fair. You talk, Kitty.
Kitty, what's your favorite memory?
I just know I'm gonna really miss her from the magazines because I'm doing all the translations. Especially like the Top Star Q&A feature where they make them rank each other. It's just always
Such a
really
cute.
fun in that. Yeah, and she just has such a fun attitude. Like whenever she turns up in an interview or anything, like I don't know, like it's hard for me to say anything specific, but like I'm always pretty happy to see her. Like that's how I feel about her. Like it makes me happy that she's doing things that I can see. And also like I went to see Ace Motion, which may have been the same day Carly went, but not in the same performance.
Yeah, I think that happened.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And we got these like, they were the second floor box seats.
Ooh.
So we were like some of the closest people to the stage,
Ooh.
even though we were higher up. And like the thing with that was because it was a concert, you were allowed to do things you couldn't do normally in a Takarazuka performance. Like screaming really loud.
Yeah.
So that was just one of the best experiences of my whole trip to Japan. Really was doing that. And we like skipped school for it and everything.
Oh.
Worth it. I also called out sick from work to go to Ace Motion.
Nice.
Bless.
Bless.
And hilariously, like, also got sick that day. So when I went back to work, my boss was like, "Wow, you sound terrible. Are you sure you don't need more time?"
That's amazing.
It was amazing.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
No, like I said, I've only watched part of Ace Motion so far, but I do. She says right at the beginning of the DVD recording, you guys actually saw it live, but like, we're doing a live show this time, guys, so make sure, you get all excited and call out to me, and, I want to hear you getting all moriagateru and stuff, and I love that that's her attitude, of course, that she wanted to have a really lively concert, and it just, I can't even imagine what it was like seeing it live.
Oh god.
Okay, so she, in the middle of it, she did the like retro song medley, which is when Skater Boy happened, but they also did, what was it? The Hikawa Kiyoshi no Zundoko song.
Yeah.
And like I fully lost it. Like fully lost it and started giggling really loud. So I hope she was not offended. Because I'm pretty sure it was very audible.
That's alright. You were having a good time.
It was not intended to be mocking. It was the sheer astonishment that she was actually going to do something. I found that incredible.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I was like fully dying through that entire medley. Like,
yes.
So good.
I've never, in terms of memories, like, both Hot Eyes and Ace Motion, like, for somebody who I used to actively dislike, are, like, two of my top 5 all-time, like, theater-going memories of my life altogether. Takarazuka and not Takarazuka. Like, Hot Eyes was just so much more than I expected it to be, and specifically the solo dance that we already discussed, but like, I don't know how well it comes across on video, but they projected like starlight onto the ceiling of the whole theater while that dance was happening, and it was so mesmerizing and beautiful.
They did that.
And then Ace Motion was just a time. The reason I called out of work was because one of my friends had like third hand heard about someone trying to get rid of a front row seat. And I got that text message while I was in Tokyo seeing Scarlet Pimpernel. And I, like, at intermission, and I was like, I mean, I'm in Tokyo. I can't, like, go take this ticket that's in Osaka. And then, like, out of curiosity, I texted her back after the show was over, and miraculously it was still there. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to call out of work and go back to Osaka. And it was, like, maybe the best decision of my life.
Nice.
Seeing Ace Motion from the front row. Specifically, I forget if I said this in my review, which you guys already said you read at the beginning of the podcast, but the moment right before the curtain went down for Act 1, which I was like, the Act 1 was so intense that I thought it was over. Like, I genuinely thought 2 hours had passed, and that was like the curtain for the first encore. And then she was like, that's the end of Act 1, and I was really shocked. English. But like right before the curtain starts to go down, she, there's like, the blast of the music ending, and she strikes this pose. And so I was like under her to the left, looking up at her and the lights, and like as she struck this pose, like sweat flew off of her, and it was backlit, and it was like a crazy anime thing. It was such
I'm picturing it too.
It was such an iconic, emotional moment. That's a really good memory.
Heidi, best memories of Makun.
Oh gosh, I've got to see her twice live, and I feel happy doing so. We went to see Elizabeth last year, and then of course Kamigami this year, and I was just really happy to see kind of like the breadth of being able to see. Elizabeth was the very first Takarazuka show I ever saw, both in general and live.
Wow.
Yeah, and so being able to kind of like have that sort of come full circle in a way. It was really fun to kind of see it done with a different troupe, and one that I will now get to know much better. But I remember we were outside doing waiting for like demachi or whatnot, and it was we caught it the very first day we got to Tokyo. We went to the theater last year, and it was opening day in Tokyo for Elizabeth, and so we went out to the theater and saw Makun's club did a little event. They like had this big sign, I can't even remember what it said, and they like said something to her while she came out, and she at one point like got a little embarrassed and asked them to like put it down. She's like, they were just holding it after they had said their bit. She's like, wait. She's like, it's okay, you can put that down. But it was really cute though, because it seemed like she was a little like embarrassed for the whole sign to be out there. But at one point, part of the little chant was like, they're like, oh, can we come see you every day? And she says like, yes, of course. And they're like, woo! And it was just really cute and really fun to watch. And then, gosh, I guess just like, I don't know, all of classical Bijoux was just so much fun to be able to like see her last show before she goes. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, my Makun feelings are so all over the place because she was this derpy kid who was like getting a lot of promotion, and we were like, oh, okay. And like I said, I'm super about the 88th class, and so I was like, yay, Makun, like, even though she's gangly and derpy, she's in 88th and she's going places, and I support her. And then, I mean, I guess in like a vague way, I knew when she was getting transferred to Soragumi that it was in the position of Nibante, and so like that she would probably become top. but I didn't like think of it clearly, like this means that Makun will be top of my troop kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't really until I kind of got back into fangirling Zuka this summer when I watched, I also watched Elizabeth 2016, and that was kind of my like break back in to fangirling, and I've just been devouring all of Makun's shows, and I mean all of the Soragami shows that I missed. And I just appreciate what she brought to the troupe, and this fun energy, and this it's like I was saying about dancing skill. It's interesting how she can be so goofy and yet so polished at the same time, and bring that standard of like really talented people just showing off their skills, not just her, but like so many people in the troupe just showing their best self. And so yeah, I'm definitely sad that I've like missed her entire top career, and now I'm like seeing it as it's over, and I didn't get to like experience it more live and more as it was happening. But at the same time, I'm so proud of her, and I'm so glad to see her legacy and her influence on the troupe. And I don't know, I don't have the right words for it. She's just, I'm gonna try to write her a letter in the next week or so and send it off to Tokyo, but like I really don't know if I'll be able to express myself properly because I have such mixed crazy feelings about her being this baby, and now she's this huge star, and she's retiring, moving off to the next stage, and I have no idea what that next stage will be. She's not the kind of star who like you're like, oh well, she's definitely gonna do this next. Like, what do you guys think? I don't have a read on her.
As long as she has Instagram, I'm not sure.
And Twitter. Can you just imagine her being this like ridiculous jokester all over Twitter all the time, writing these dumb jokes at 2 a.m. or something?
I would love that.
I would love that.
I would love that too.
Because like the one that sticks out in my mind the most is Toko Aranke. Like right after she retired, like the next day, the poster for Aida was out, where they were restaging Aida at like Umeda Geijutsu Gekijo or something, and she obviously was going to be the titular character of Aida again. But like she had it lined up, is what I'm saying. She had it right already. They had done the photo shoot already. It was there. Whereas with Makun, I really have no idea. Like, has anyone read or like translated her sayonara interview type things where she's like, you know, they're always kind of vague about what they're going to do after retirement.
Yeah, I'd have not.
No,
that's fair enough. Like, yeah.
I mean, I definitely read it like when they came out, but I don't remember anything standing out, which probably means she just said like, I don't know,
like
or I'm gonna focus on Takarazuka until the last day.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean that seems like the most her, to be honest, to be like, I'm just gonna focus on it until the last day, and then who knows what's happening next. I honestly, this is just my pipe dream or whatever. It seems like she should take a break. She should like go on vacation or something. I always want them to like go to Europe, go to Bali or something, go to the islands, you know, do something fun. Go to France, because they did Chateau de la Reine. I hope she like takes a fun vacation and has an Instagram and posts a bunch of pictures.
That would be amazing.
That would be
not that they're like similar, but I guess I kind of feel similarly as I did about So, in terms of like, I don't really know what she's going to do after she retires. And she's kind of like been slowly, gradually carving out a place for herself. And I mean, I guess I can kind of see something like that for Makun also.
Do you mean like stage and TV, screen, like movie stuff, or a specific?
Yeah, she's been doing like different little things. Like some of her own concerts. She contributed to some of the like OG compilations that have come out lately, like the like Raging and what was the other one? The Koshiji Fubuki one. And she's been in a couple of little shows with kind of interesting, like, offbeat roles. And I guess if I had to say what I wanted, I guess that type of thing. But also I feel like, I don't know. I don't know what I can see.
It's funny.
Makun
Suddenly
doing.
I got this image of Makun as like a, like Juri Sakiho, where she does all these like TV interview things where she's the like chatterbox, host of a talk show or whatever, and then she brings on these other guests and like has them. Can't you imagine Makun doing that kind of thing where like she teases
that
the
would be
guests
awesome, too.
mercilessly and like. I can
would be
just imagine her
amazing.
doing that. Except that Juri already has that like niche filled, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
Lockdown.
Makun can't really take that over. But
Yeah.
yeah, I can see her doing that kind of thing. Talk
Yeah,
shows
that
in
would be
general,
cool.
or like concerts, like you were saying, or just something where she gets to be her own goofy self.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm not sad. Like, I'm a little sad that I missed, like, her whole top career, but honestly, I'm not sad, because I'm just, whatever she does, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. I also feel like, this is certainly not to say that past eras of Sorogumi haven't been amazing, but due to the fact that it's the youngest troupe by far, I think this is the first top star switchover where I really feel like Makun is handing over almost the same troupe to Eureka, and
I get
it's
what you mean.
like the troupe that they built together, and she's gonna carry that on.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of the transitions in the past have felt more like, maybe they were both amazing, but it felt like a really different troupe from one top star to the next.
I would not have thought that until you said it, but I really feel that. I really agree with you.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that because it kind of feels like, Sorogumi finally has, like, this is
Like,
Sorogumi,
an
and
identity.
a lot of,
Yeah.
like, especially, like, a lot of the young stars were Sorogumi born, which is not always true for, like, the stars of Sorogumi in the
So
past,
true.
obviously, because they couldn't be Sorogumi
Right.
born.
Yeah, for so long.
And it's just a really
they were
cool
transfers.
feeling that's taking shape for the first time. I really, really like that.
Definitely.
Yeah, I feel like
Oh, I'm so excited.
I feel like she's just really set it up to be something really amazing, and that's why I'm also like really looking forward to what happens in the next couple of years. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yay, I like that. We
Thank you,
ended on a really
Makun.
hopeful note. We love you, Makun, and also we're looking forward to the troupe that you are handing off baton touch style to
Yep.
Makaze Yurika. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Me too. Sad and excited.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everybody for sharing. Does anybody have any last comments that they want to throw out there before we wrap this up?
No, I think we pretty much covered it.
Yay. We love
Love
Makun.
you.
We love Makun, yay.
88 Tower.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Say goodbye.
Bye.
Many thanks to Michael B. and the Arcanum String Quartet for their wonderful arrangement of Sumire no Hana Sakugoro. And thank you, listeners, for enjoying our podcast.